Discover the incredible transformation. How 12 Days of Pity exposed hidden love beyond Smirks. The frost hung like a fine veil over Brooksville, coating everything in glistening white. As Jake wiped the sweat from his brow, a pang of worry settling in his chest. The steady chime of the bell over the shop door heralded the arrival of a familiar face, his mother, eyes lined with love and fatigue, carrying a hot thermos of coffee. She had poured her life into raising him, a retired nurse who worked countless nights, her strength the bedrock of his dreams. But with the unexpected layoff from the auto shop, he felt the weight of her sacrifices gnawing at him like the chill air. A sudden crash erupted outside, drawing Jake's attention. He stepped outside to find an elegant sedan crumpled against a telephone pole, steam billowing from the hood. Claire, the town's newest resident, sat frozen inside, eyes wide with disbelief. She was a picture of privilege. Pristine designer clothes contrasted against the desolate landscape of their Midwestern town. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, some curious, some judgmental. Clenching his fists, Jake pushed aside the judgment he could feel directed at her and stepped forward. "Hey, you okay?" he called, his voice steady despite the murmurs from onlookers. She offered a weak smile, recognizing kindness amid the whispers. As he approached her car, he caught glimmers of her polished her name brand bags, the way her hair fell perfectly around her shoulders. But in the brief moment when their eyes locked, he glimpsed something deeper, a mixture of vulnerability and fear underneath that poised facade. As they worked together to assess the damage, Jake discovered more about Claire. She told him about her life in the city, of fancy parties and lavish gatherings that felt hollow, the loneliness that accompanied abundance. Jake shared his backstory too. The heartache of losing his job, the urgency to keep things afloat for his mother. They connected amidst the labor, fingers brushing while they retrieved tools, and for a moment, outside opinions faded into the background. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Yet, as sparks flew from the tools, Jake felt a storm brewing in the town. The local gossip began to swirl, entwining the lives of the mechanic and the newcomer. Claire's ostentation collided with the town's frugality, leading some to pity her, while others rallied behind Jake, their distaste for her status palpable. The whispers morphed into debates over worth, values of hard work and privilege clashed like thunder in the distance. Relationships buckled under the strain as old biases reared their heads. Jake saw the flicker of fear in Claire's eyes, sensing the world pulling her away from him, while he struggled to define himself outside the shadow of societal expectations. Just when they had begun to bridge the chasm between their worlds, it felt as if they stood on the brink of something beautiful and simultaneously on the edge of devastation. With tension thickening in the air, Jake could sense a reckoning looming. Would they choose each other amidst the judgment, or would they buckle under the weight of their respective worlds? The clock was ticking as emotions intertwined, leaving Jake aching for certainty, but uncertain about what the next day would bring. Would he dare to confront the biases that divided them? Or would they simply become another tale whispered in the whispers of Brooksville? The sun peeked through the clouds the next morning, casting a hesitant glow over Brooksville. Jake stood in front of his mother's worn kitchen table, the scent of freshly brewed coffee wrapping around him like a warm blanket. She busily shuffled about, preparing for another day, but Jake's mind was elsewhere. Claire lingered in his thoughts, her exclusive world, the way kindness had sparkled in her eyes when he reached out. He felt a pull he couldn't explain, a connection both unexpected and profound. "Jake? You alright?" His mother's voice broke through his reverie. He glanced at her, trying to muster a smile. "Yeah, just thinking. About the girl from the accident?" She raised an eyebrow, concern tinting her voice. He sighed, setting down his cup. "It's just that she seems different. There's more to her than what everyone sees." "People can surprise you," she replied, her tone warm with wisdom. "But remember, appearances can be deceiving, too." Jake nodded, unsure of how to express the swirling emotions inside him. After breakfast, he headed to the auto shop, the weight of the day's uncertainty sitting heavy on his shoulders. As he entered, the familiar sounds of wrenches clinking and engines revving created a comforting atmosphere. His coworker, Mike, was already at the tool bench, and he could sense the undercurrent of gossip lingering in the air. "Did you hear about Claire?" Mike asked, barely looking up from the oil he was pouring. "Apparently, she's having a meltdown over that accident. Can you believe it? A city girl like her, so fragile." Jake clenched his jaw, anger bubbling just beneath the surface. "You don't know anything about her." "Oh, but I do. She drives a fancy car and thinks she's better than us." Mike scoffed. "I mean, look at her. She wouldn't last a day in our shoes." A knot formed in Jake's throat. Was it true? Was Claire someone who couldn't understand his world? Yet deep inside, he knew the moment they had spent together in the wreck was real. He brushed the thought aside, refusing to let the rumor mill define them. A few days passed, and the name-calling grew louder in town. Jake saw Claire at the local grocery store, realization hitting him hard. She stood alone, her demeanor fragile, much like the delicate glass ornaments on Christmas trees. The sneers and whispers surrounded her like a dark cloud. Taking a deep breath, Jake approached her. "Hey, Claire." Her eyes widened, both surprise and relief flooding her face. "Oh hey, Jake. I just wanted to see how you were holding up." For a moment, their eyes locked, a silent exchange of understanding. "It's been rough," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "I didn't expect this kind of life here." He offered a small smile. "It's not so bad once you get used to it. The people can be a bit tough, but they have good hearts." The corners of her mouth turned up slightly. "Maybe I should take some tips from you." Jake's heart raced, a mixture of fear and hope washing over him. "And maybe I could learn something from you too." The connection flared between them, a hint of warmth breaking through the cold snap outside. But as joy fogged their moment, a loud crash of laughter from across the store shattered it, the unmistakable sound of judgment echoing in their ears. A group of town locals peered over, the scorn painted on their faces like a badge of honor. Jake felt the anger boil up again, but Claire looked at him, her eyes imploring him to stay, or perhaps to run. "Stay with me?" she asked softly, her voice shaking like the brittle leaves fluttering outside. In that moment, standing amidst the onlookers, Jake faced a choice that would define both their futures. Would he step forward into the light with her at risk of being shunned, or step back into the shadows of safety? As the world around them seemed to pause, Jake's heart thumped loudly in his chest, whispering the question that hung dully in the air. What did he truly stand for? Jake felt the breath catch in his throat, the weight of those sneering faces behind him. Every instinct screamed at him to turn away, to blend into the crowd where judgment couldn't touch him. But Claire's eyes, bright and vulnerable, anchored him. "I'll stay," he heard himself say, the words tumbling out before he could second-guess them. The relief in Claire's expression was immediate, and, for the first time, he felt the stirring of something stronger than fear, determination. The laughter faded in a mere hush as he stepped closer to her side. "Forget them," he murmured, an ember of defiance sparking between them. "They don't know you." "I don't know me either," Claire replied, her voice quaking as she scanned the aisle. "I thought I was strong. But this place, it just feels like quicksand. The harder I struggle, the deeper I sink." "Then let us get out of here," Jake suggested, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest. "There's a park not far from here. We can talk. Just be normal." Her eyes widened again, doubt warring with a glimmer of enthusiasm. "You really want to hang out with me?" "Yeah," he chuckled lightly. "Trust me, I'm not quite normal either." With a hesitant grin, Claire agreed, and as they strolled out of the store together, a sense of freedom enveloped him like tearing off a suffocating blanket. They walked side by side, the chill in the air a sweet companion to their warmth. The park came into view, a swath of grass kissed by the afternoon sun. Children played, their laughter ringing like distant bells. It felt like a different world as they settled on a bench under a sprawling oak tree, the leaves rustling gently above them. "Why did you come to Brooksville?" Jake asked, trying to unravel the layers of the girl beside him. "It seems like such a drastic change." Claire sighed, running a hand through her hair. "It was supposed to be temporary. Just a summer with my mother to escape the city. But then, well, life happened, and here I am." "Life can be messy," Jake replied, nodding in understanding. "But it can also surprise you in good ways. Like today. I didn't plan on being here with you, but maybe it's what we both needed." A light chuckle escaped her lips, and he couldn't help but smile at the way her eyes sparkled for just a moment. The laughter danced between them, a refreshing moment amidst the chaos of their lives. "Do you think we'll be able to escape the noise of the town?" Claire's voice lowered as she leaned toward him, her sincerity breaking through the barriers she'd built. Jake met her gaze, feeling the gravity of the question. "As long as we're together, I think we can." Just then, the distant echo of a horn jolted them both out of their bubble. A car passed by, and the laughter of some familiar faces, people from town who had no idea of the connection they were forging, slithered through the air. But this time, it felt different. Jake's pulse quickened at the thought of facing those sneering eyes again, but something deeper surged within him. "Hey, if they see us together, so what?" Claire's expression shifted, uncertainty flickering. "Are you ready for whatever comes next?" The thought settled like a stone in Jake's heart, heavy but real. He wanted to keep exploring this bond, to stand beside her against whatever storm was brewing. "I am," he stated, resolute. As they both took a deep breath, the world around them dimmed into a backdrop for their next challenge. The moment stretched ahead, full of uncertainty but saturated with promise. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something extraordinary. But little did they know, the town's whispers were not the only danger lurking in the shadows. Something deeper awaited, a truth about Claire that would either shatter their fragile connection or bind them together forever. What was Claire hiding, and would it tear them apart or bring them closer? Jake leaned back on the wooden bench, the rough grain digging into his palms as he watched Claire, her gaze fixed on the children playing nearby. They were carefree, oblivious to the complexities of life, just laughter and shouts as bright as the sun overhead. "Claire, what do you miss the most about the city?" he asked, hoping to keep this moment alive, to draw her further into their fragile sanctuary. Her brow furrowed slightly, as if gathering memories like leaves in the breeze. "Probably the energy. The art. People moving, dancing, living without fear. Or at least pretending not to." The wistfulness in her voice was palpable. "And here? It feels different," she said softly. "More insular. Like everyone is watching and judging." Jake nodded, understanding all too well. He had felt the weight of those judgmental glances, too. But what if we change that? Just two weirdos looking to escape the noise? Claire turned to him, her eyes wide, and he thought he saw a glimmer of hope. "You really think we could?" "I know we can." He smiled, digging deep to find the courage he wanted her to see. Another car rolled by, this one slower than the last. Jake turned his head, half anticipating another wave of whispers, but instead found a girl from school staring. Her eyebrows raised in surprise, then a smirk creased her lips. He felt his heart sink. But when he caught Claire's profile, her jaw set and determined, he felt a rush of defiance. This was their moment and he wasn't about to let anyone steal it. "Let them look," he said, and when Claire glanced at him, her expression shifted to one of surprise. "They don't define who we are." "We do." She smiled, a tentative but genuine thing, and suddenly the world felt more expansive. "You're right. They don't see the real me, or you." "So, who are you?" he asked, not just curious but genuinely wanting to know. Claire's gaze dropped to the ground, her fingers fiddling with the edge of her sweater. "I don't know, but I want to find out." Jake leaned closer. "And I want to help." A warmth spread through him, anchoring him to the moment, to her. The overwhelming weight of everything, the whispers, the past, the secrets, began to lighten. But then Claire's face clouded, shadows flickering across her features. But what if the truth is too much? She asked, her voice trembling. What if I'm not who you think I am? The breeze picked up, sending leaves swirling around them. The laughter of children faded, replaced by an anxious silence between them. What do you mean? Jake asked gently, his heart racing. It's complicated, she stammered, a sheen of fear crossing her face. I haven't been truthful about everything. I've just wanted to fit in, to be happy, even if it's for a moment. Jake felt a knot tighten in his chest. You can tell me. Whatever it is, we can face it together. The air hung heavy with palpable tension now, the kind that wrapped around them and made every sound feel crisper. Claire's breath quickened as she wrestled with her hesitation, deep in thought. Time slowed, and he could almost see the gears turning in her mind. Finally, she whispered, I think I need to tell you about my past. Jake swallowed hard, steeling himself for whatever revelations would follow. What weight would fall on them like a stone, or would it forge a bond stronger than they imagined? As she opened her mouth to speak, the rustling branches above them suddenly stilled, holding their breath alongside him. Whatever he thought he knew about Claire, the truth was about to shatter his perceptions. Could he handle it? And more importantly, would it bring the two of them closer or tear them apart forever? Claire hesitated, her eyes fixed on the ground, as if the earth could hold her thoughts hostage. Jake felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him, like the stillness before a storm. He waited, heart pounding in his chest, wanting to bridge the gap and pull her back to him. I grew up in a world where everything was perfect, on the surface, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper, struggling with the words. People appeared happy, but it was all a facade. My family, they wanted an image, not a person. Jake nodded slowly, trying to grasp the depths of her pain. Sounds tough, he said softly, assuring her that he was here, ready to listen. When I was younger, I thought if I just checked all the right boxes, everything would be okay. I did dance classes, played the piano, got the best grades. It was never enough, she continued, her breath hitching. It wasn't until I started feeling like I was just a character in their play, an extension of their expectations. Jake could see the flicker of anger and sadness in her eyes, both battling for dominance. That's a lot to carry, he said, even though he knew there was more to come. It is, she replied, her shoulders sagging. And then, I met you. And all these plans, all these boxes, started to feel empty. You were different. You made me feel real. But it terrified me. How did it terrify you? Jake felt a pang in his chest, his urge to protect her swelling at the thought of what she had endured. Because I liked it, Claire's voice trembled. I liked you. But there was this awful fear that if I opened up, you'd see the mess that I was and walk away. I'd never walk away, Jake assured her, leaning closer. You don't have to be perfect. Claire shook her head, tears brimming in her eyes. You don't understand. What I haven't told you is I left all of that behind, but it comes back like a ghost. I changed my name. I don't want anyone to find out who I really am. Jake felt his breath catch. What do you mean, changed your name? Why? Because I had to escape. I was suffocating under the weight of who I was, she confessed, her words tumbling out like pebbles dropped onto the pavement. I was a part of something dark, and I've tried to pretend that it never happened. But then I came here and saw things differently. This place, you make me want to confront it. The wind picked up again, swirling leaves around them, but it didn't drown out the thunder of Jake's heart. He reached out, grasping her hands, feeling her pulse thrum beneath his fingers. Whatever it is, we'll face it. Together. You don't have to fight this alone anymore. Claire's eyes glimmered with a mix of gratitude and despair, as if his promise lifted the weight of the world off her shoulders, but only slightly. She tightened her hands around his, her voice softening. Jake, what if that part of me is too broken to fix? What if knowing the truth about me changes how you feel? Let me decide that, he urged, his voice steady. I want to know you, the real you. Not the version your past created. The silence that followed felt electric, charged with the possibility of understanding, yet they both lingered at the precipice of uncertainty. Jake felt time stretch, not rushing to the next moment, but holding this one tightly, like a fragile promise. Just then, a small group of children raced past, their laughter breaking the tension as they flung leaves into the air. Their joy, so vibrant, reminded Jake of the innocence they both sought, the desire to reclaim something true amidst their tangled realities. Let us take a step forward, Claire. Together, Jake encouraged gently. Let us find the pieces that still make you whole. She took a deep breath, her expression shifting, uncertainty mingling with a flicker of hope. Okay, but you have to be ready for the truth, Jake. It might just change everything. Jake swallowed hard, all urgency and emotion darting through him. Then let us find out together. He saw the battle within her soften, just for a moment, and it filled him with a bittersweet ache. Could it be this simple? This beautiful? But behind her fleeting smile, shadows lingered. And as the children shrieked with delight nearby, a question hung in the air: what truth lay ahead, and would they emerge together unbroken or forever changed? The soft breeze rustled the leaves as Claire studied Jake's determined gaze. A flicker of doubt darted through her mind, but she pushed it aside. She had spent far too long hiding from her own truth. Maybe now was the time to let go of the shackles of her past. Okay, I'll try, she said, her voice trembling slightly. I'll tell you everything, but promise you won't look at me differently. Jake nodded, his expression steady and reassuring. I promise, Claire. I'm here for you. There was a brief moment of silence, the weight in the air almost palpable. Claire took a deep breath, her heart racing. For years, she had built walls thicker than stone. Would telling Jake bring her support or agony? Growing up, my parents split when I was little. My mom got involved with a man who wasn't good for her. He had connections to things I never wanted to know about. He was involved in drugs, violence, a whole world that made my skin crawl. Her voice shook as she spoke, memories flickering in her mind like an old film reel. Jake's grip on her hands tightened. Take your time, he encouraged softly. I wanted to escape it. When I was a teenager, I discovered I was good at pretending to be whoever they needed me to be. Acting left me with a feeling of control, but it also meant I was covering up who I really was. I felt like I was drowning. The tears finally spilled over, rolling down her cheeks. So, I changed everything. I moved here, started fresh, and even changed my name. Jake's heart twisted at her confession. He couldn't fathom the depth of her pain, but the urge to hold her tightly grew like flames in his chest. You did what you had to do to survive, he said gently. That doesn't make you broken, Claire. It makes you brave. Brave? She scoffed, wiping her eyes. I'm terrified. There are nights I can't sleep, haunted by memories. The darkness still lingers, Jake. What if it comes back? Then we'll handle it together, he replied firmly. Even the darkness can't last forever if we shine a light on it. Claire studied him, trying to decipher if he was sincere or simply saying what he thought she needed to hear. But what do you really know about me? There's so much more beneath the surface. Nothing I've heard has changed how I feel about you, Jake said, an earnest look burning in his eyes. You're still the girl who showed me how to laugh and feel things I didn't know I could. You've breathed life into my routine existence. The sincerity in his voice tugged at her heartstrings. Was it possible that someone could accept her past as a part of who she was, rather than a stain on her identity? Maybe they could navigate these turbulent waters together. What if I introduce you to that world? Claire's voice wavered with both excitement and apprehension. What if I show you the ghosts I've been running from? What if the past haunts us? Jake leaned forward, fixing her with an intensely warm gaze. Then we'll confront them together. You won't be alone anymore. Claire's resolve wavered, vulnerability scattering across her features. For the first time, she felt she might be holding hands with hope rather than grief. She was ready to peel back those layers, to uncover the truth that might change everything. Suddenly, a car honked nearby, snapping them back into the moment. A couple strolled by, laughing, their arms linked. Claire watched them, a slight smile tugging at her lips. Maybe this was possible for her too. "Let us start small," Claire said, a spark of initiative igniting within her. "I need to tell you what I did to survive back then." Just as she began to gather her thoughts, a loud crash echoed from the park behind them, breaking the calm. They both turned sharply, hearts racing. "What was that?" Jake asked, forehead creasing with concern. Claire's stomach twisted. Was her past creeping back in? The moment held a frenzy of emotion, a mixture of fear and anticipation. She felt the air shift yet again. "We should go check it out," Claire said, a nervous edge in her voice. Jake nodded, eyes on her with determination. Together. With that, they started towards the sound, bound by growing intimacy and the shadow of what lies ahead. Would the truth they sought be cathartic or the catalyst for a storm? Would their bond withstand the chaos of her history? A new chapter waited, the future hanging precariously in the balance. What would they discover? They hurried toward the sound, an uneasy tension crackling in the air. The park, usually a sanctuary of joy with children playing and families lounging, felt disquieted, as if the very trees were whispering secrets. The crash had broken the rhythm of their shared moment, a premature interruption that sent a shiver down Claire's spine. "What do you think happened?" Claire couldn't mask the tremor in her voice. "I don't know," Jake replied, his brow furrowed. "But let us find out." As they approached the source of the noise, a small crowd had already gathered, their voices rising in a mix of concern and curiosity. Claire's heart pounded as they slipped through the onlookers, each steadying breath filled with trepidation. That feeling from before, the uncertainty of sharing her past, was creeping back. The scene came into focus. A fallen tree branch lay on the ground, cracked and jagged, its remnants scattered like fallen dreams. Nearby, a couple of teenagers, slightly bruised but mostly shaken, stood, their faces pale. They had been climbing when the branch broke, and the muted groans of disbelief filled the air. "Oh no," Claire gasped, instinctively glancing at Jake. "What if someone got hurt?" Jake squeezed her hand, grounding her. "They look okay, but we should be ready to help if needed." Claire watched Jake as he stepped forward, immediately assuming the role of protector. It stirred something inside her, this fierce desire he had to help others. She admired his heart, how easily it expanded to envelop those around him. "Hey, are you guys all right?" Jake asked the teens, his voice steady and calm. "We're fine, I think," one of them stammered, brushing dirt from her clothes. "Just shocked." The crowd began to dissipate as the excitement faded, but for Claire, the stunning realization remained. What if this was how her past could return to her? Like a branch crashing down when least expected, could her history come tumbling into her present? "Let us back up a little," Claire whispered to Jake, feeling suddenly overwhelmed. "This is too close." He nodded, leading her away from the scene. The crowd thinned, but Claire's thoughts churned like a storm. "What if I start to see parts of my past everywhere I go?" She whispered to him, the panic rising again. "Is it just about your past?" Jake asked, his eyes searching hers. "Or is it about being afraid that it'll touch us?" The thought hit Claire like a lightning bolt. It wasn't just herself she feared losing. It was Jake. It was the bond they were building. For a moment, she felt raw and exposed, like the branches of that tree toppled yet undeniably vulnerable. "I don't want to hurt you," she admitted, her voice shaking. "That's not going to happen," he assured her. "We're in this together, whatever comes our way." Deep down, Claire felt the weight of someone else's strength, and it felt almost alien but refreshing at the same time. But the growing shadows haunting her past still loomed nearby. "What if my ghosts take you down with me?" she asked, her heart racing. "They won tea," Jake replied, his tone unwavering. You're stronger than you think, Claire. Just look at how far you've come. His optimism twinkled like stars breaking through a dark night, urging her closer to that hope she had almost forgotten. But before Claire could respond, a figure broke through the crowd and sped toward them. It was a familiar face, her old friend, Lucy, with wide eyes and breathless panic. "I've been looking for you," Lucy exclaimed, her voice rising over the murmurs in the park. "What's wrong?" Claire ballooned with anxiety, the world narrowing around Lucy's words. "I need to talk to you. It's important. It's about everything you've been running from." Claire's stomach knotted as the last shreds of hope began to fray. What did Lucy know? What part of her past was surfacing now? Fear mingled with curiosity, pulling Claire in two directions. Would this be the moment of reckoning with the ghosts she'd been avoiding? "Claire, please, we need to go," Lucy urged, glancing back towards the crowd. The worry in her eyes was unmistakable. Jake looked at Claire, and the connection was electric. This was a fork in the road. Would she face the music, no matter how devastating the symphony might be? The stakes were rising, and Claire was teetering on the edge. How far was she willing to go to confront what lay behind her? With just that moment hanging in the air, the weight of choices pressed down. Could she trust her friend's summons, or was the past pulling her back to drown her again? The answer felt just out of reach, but Claire knew one thing: the real truth was about to expose itself, and she was scared of what she might find. Would the past become a cage, or could it shape her future? As Lucy's eyes bore into her, Claire wondered if she was ready to face the music or if the chaos would engulf her once more. The park felt like a whirlwind, everything spinning around Claire in an overwhelming blur. Lucy's frantic plea echoed in her ears. Time slowed, stretching seconds into an eternity. She looked from Jake's steady gaze to Lucy's pleading eyes. "What's happening?" Claire asked, her voice trembling. "What do you know?" Lucy shifted nervously, glancing up at the sky as if searching for the right words. "I can't explain it all here. We need to talk somewhere private. It's important." Jake's grip on Claire's hand tightened, sending a surge of warmth through her. "Just take your time, Claire," he said softly. "You don't have to do anything you're not ready for." But deep down, Claire felt the weight of unavoidable decisions crashing in on her. She had spent so long running that the idea of confronting her past now felt like plunging into icy water, invigorating and terrifying all at once. "Let us go then," she finally said, nodding toward Lucy. The thought of the secrets unraveling chilled her, but Jake's strength was a beacon. "But I want you with me," she added, looking back at him. "Always," Jake replied, fierce determination evident in his voice. It steadied her. They walked a few blocks, Lucy leading the way, gesturing to an unassuming cafe tucked into the corner of a quiet street. The sun streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow over the small tables. Yet, inside, Claire felt the cool breeze of uncertainty. Sitting at a small corner table, Claire felt as if all eyes were on her, even though the cafe was just buzzing with casual chatter. "What is going on, Lucy?" she urged, forcing her heart to keep beating steadily. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Lucy took a deep breath, intertwining her fingers nervously. "It's about the past you've been trying to run from. I thought you should know it's closer than you think." Claire's throat tightened. Memories flooded in those she thought buried deep. "What do you mean?" she whispered, almost afraid to hear her fears voiced. "Jake, you might want to hear this too," Lucy said, her voice now somber. "It's about your dad." Jake's expression shifted, concern flooding his eyes. "Your dad? What does he have to do with this?" Claire felt ice bloom in her veins. Memories of anger, disappointment, and hurt pressed down on her heart. How do you know about him?" The simple, innocent question lay heavy in the air. "Because he's been looking for you," Lucy continued. "I found some letters he's reaching out, and it's not just about regret. He wants to see you." Every word pulled at Claire, unraveling years of suppression. She met Jake's gaze. "I don't want to see him." What does he want after all this time? The very thought felt like a jagged rock lodged in her throat. Lucy leaned in, her voice almost a whisper. He says he changed. He wants to apologize, to explain, but I didn't know except for last week. I didn't want to tell you in a rush. But you deserve to know. A cacophony of emotions erupted within Claire. Rage, sadness, and confusion fought for dominance. You should have told me sooner, she snapped. I thought I was finally free of all that. Claire, it's about your choice now. You can confront this or let it eat at you, Lucy urged, gently touching her hand. Jake's voice broke softly through Claire's turmoil. Whatever you decide, I'll be right here. His presence wrapped around her like a warm blanket, but the chill of her past nipped at her heels. The truth hung like an unfinished note in the air. Could she really face him? Claire was teetering on a precipice, the memories swirling around her. As she looked into Jake's warm eyes, something clicked into place. Would she finally take that step and reclaim her story? With her heart pounding in her chest, Claire knew a critical choice loomed ahead. Would she allow love and hope to pave the way forward, or would she remain shackled to the pain of yesterday? The cafe felt stifling, the incidentality of the day fading fast as the shadows of the past threatened to consume her. But there was a glimmer of something bright within her, igniting as she prepared to speak. Maybe. Just maybe, I need to find out the truth, Claire breathed, her voice resolute, yet frightened. But was she ready to face whatever awaited her? That truth could either be the key to her freedom or the chains that bound her forever. As Claire sat in the cafe, the atmosphere shifted. The hum of conversations around her faded, leaving only the sound of her own heart racing. Lucy's words echoed relentlessly in her mind. He's been looking for you. Each syllable sent chills down her spine, nagging at the walls she had built to guard her heart. Do you really think he has changed? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Doubt laced her every thought. What if all the pain resurfaced? Lucy shook her head, eyes earnest. I can't say for sure, Claire. But you deserve to hear him out. You need closure. Closure. That word hung in the air like a heavy weight. What closure could she possibly find after so many years? What if I can't? She replied, panic creeping into her tone. Jake squeezed her hand tighter, grounding her. Then we walk away. It's your choice, Claire. Just remember, facing it isn't a sign of weakness. His support, unwavering, ignited a flicker of courage within her. But I just want to forget, she confessed, her frustration bubbling over. Maybe forgetting isn't the solution, Lucy interjected gently. What if you could finally heal? Maybe there's peace to be found in confronting your past. Claire looked around the cafe, taking in the sights, the steaming cups of coffee, the soft laughter of patrons. It felt normal, contrasting so sharply with the storm brewing inside of her. She took a deep breath, exhaling slowly. If I go, what happens after? Can I walk away again? Maybe, Jake said, his gaze unwavering, but you might be surprised at how liberating it can feel to reclaim your story. You control this. None of it is set in stone. The words hung heavy with truth, and Claire's mind raced. Could facing her father really bring the freedom from her past she so desperately sought? If they were to meet again, what would that even look like? Her heart sank at the thought. What if he is still the same man I ran from? There's only one way to find out, Lucy said softly. The cafe felt stifling now, filled with a mix of anticipation and dread. What if her father hadn't changed? The hurt, the disappointment, it could all resurface in a heartbeat. But maybe, just maybe, this encounter could be her chance to speak her truth, to let him finally know the pain he had caused. Okay, Claire breathed, a newfound determination fueling her resolve. I'll meet him. The weight of her decision hung like a knife's edge, sharp and terrifying, yet she could feel the warmth of support from Jake enveloping her. I'll come with you, Lucy offered, her eyes bright with a mixture of understanding and excitement. Thank you, Claire said, her voice trembling. Jake smiled, projecting calmness like a steady flame. We'll face this together. No matter what. Just then, a sliver of hope emerged amidst her swirling doubts. Maybe this was the beginning of a process, one that could purge old pain and clear the way for new beginnings. There was no promise of closure. No guarantee that everything would resolve. But she realized that choosing to confront her past might just allow her to step into the light. As they left the cafe, walking into the cool evening air, Claire felt the weight shift ever so slightly. With each step, she was reclaiming agency, her story, her voice. But just as she thought she was ready, an unexpected doubt flickered in her heart. What if his response shattered her again? They paused at the street corner. Jake turned to her, eyes soft yet unwavering. You're stronger than you think, Claire. Whatever happens, you'll handle it. The streetlights flickered above them, casting long shadows down the path. With a deep breath, Claire took a step forward, not knowing what awaited her. At that moment, she knew the journey ahead wouldn't be easy. But perhaps it was time to finally bridge the gap between the haunting past and the future she yearned for. Claire's heart raced with questions. Would she find forgiveness? Or would the past consume her once again? The answer lingered just out of reach, waiting patiently for the moment of truth. The day had finally arrived. The sun rose over Brooksville, casting a golden hue across the town like a shroud of promise. Claire stood in front of the mirror, trying to steady her trembling hands. Today was about bravery, about facing ghosts that had long haunted her dreams. But with every thrum of her heart, doubt crept in like a shadow. Jake stood beside her, a pillar of support as he watched her prepare. You've got this, Claire. Remember, you're not alone, he reminded her, his voice resonating with strength. The echo of his words wrapped around her, fighting against the knot in her stomach. Thanks, Jake, she whispered, taking a deep breath. I'll do my best. As they arrived at the cafe where she would meet her father, Claire's past swirled in her mind, moments lost in memories, whispers of anguish that lingered like a specter. As they approached, she spotted Lucy, waiting at a table, her expression a blend of encouragement and anxiousness. He's already here, Lucy said, glancing toward the back of the cafe. Are you ready? A shiver ran through Claire, every instinct telling her to flee. I don't know if I can, she replied, her voice quaking. Jake's grip tightened around her hand. You can. Allow yourself to feel, no matter what happens. Those words echoed in her mind as they made their way to the back corner of the cafe. There sat a man with frail features, an aura of remorse hanging around him like fragile glass. Claire's heart pounded as memories rushed back, memories of hurt, chanting the echoes of disappointment. As they approached the table, he looked up, his eyes reflecting shock and recognition. Claire, Dad, she replied, her voice firm yet small. You wanted to see me. Thank you for coming, he murmured, a tremor in his voice. I know I don't deserve it. The silence was profound, weighing heavily on both their shoulders. Claire glanced at Jake, who stood ready, a guardian in this moment of vulnerability, reinforcing her courage. Why now? Claire asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. You've had years to reach out. I was a coward, her father admitted, eyes glistening with unshed tears. I didn't know how to be a father. I was tangled in my own darkness. But I've done a lot of thinking, a lot of soul-searching. The tears pricked at her eyes, but Claire forced them back. Thinking wouldn't change the past, she replied, bitterness creeping into her tone. You hurt me and my mom. I know. Trust me, I know. He took a deep breath, visibly shaking. I've spent so long regretting what I did to her and to you. I wish I could take it back. Wishing doesn't matter, she said, anger rising. You can't just brush away the mess you made. I can't, he echoed, his voice cracking. But I'm here now, and I want to understand. I want to support you. I hope you see that. Claire turned away, staring at her trembling hands, tangled in the reality of this moment. How could she trust him again? The ache in her heart felt palpable, a reminder of everything lost. But as she inhaled, catching a whiff of freshly brewed coffee, something shifted. "Maybe you could tell me how you plan to be different," Claire challenged, a flicker of hope igniting. "What have you really changed?" "I'm in recovery," he admitted, faltering slightly. "I've been sober for 6 months and I want to rebuild my relationship with you, if you'll let me." The words hung in the air, fragile yet full of promise. Claire's eyes searched his, the layers of pain mingling with the slightest shimmer of hope. Could she allow herself to believe that change was possible? "That essay start, but I need time to process all of this," she said, feeling the weight lifting just enough to breathe. "You can't just expect everything to be okay overnight." "I understand," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "And I'll be here, whenever you're ready." Claire nodded, and the air felt lighter, a small crack forming in the wall she'd built against her past. She could see it, the possibility of healing, not just for her father, but for herself. As they wrapped up the conversation, she glanced at Jake, his eyes shining with that beautiful warmth that made her feel safe. "I couldn't have done this without you," she admitted. He smiled softly. "You faced your fears today. That takes courage. You're even stronger than I knew." As they left the cafe, Claire felt a weight lifted, a tentative burden of fear replaced by a fragile sense of freedom. She had begun to reclaim her voice, a voice she thought had been silenced by pain. Hand in hand with Jake, her heart began to mend. The sun shone brightly as they walked down the street, casting their silhouettes in the light of new beginnings. "Are you okay?" Jake asked, brushing back a strand of hair that had fallen in her face. "Yeah, I think I am," Claire replied, a bright smile breaking free, electrifying the air around them. "I'm ready to figure out who I am now." Jake beamed at her with an understanding that made her feel whole, a connection beckoning hope in the shadows. Together, they stepped into their journey, embarking on a path filled with healing, laughter, and an unwavering support that promised warmth against whatever storms lay ahead. Embracing this newfound purpose, Claire turned to Jake. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" "Absolutely," he grinned. "And every day is a chance to grow." As they walked into the sun, Claire realized that being brave wasn't about the absence of fear, it was about facing it head-on. And for the first time, she felt truly free. Now, as you've witnessed this incredible story, don't wait another second. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you won't miss the next exclusive tales waiting just for you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support our journey. Comment below about your reactions and feelings, let your voice be heard. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can create a community of strength and support. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support.